Hi guys, my name is Clayton Taylor here with my brother Dylan, and this is Pursuing the Truth podcast. Now when it comes to learning and pursuing the truth, me and my brother are truly addicted. We absolutely love to learn and we always have. So in this podcast, we take a relevant topic for today's audience and see what we can learn from each other in pursuit of the truth. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another episode of Pursuing the Truth. I'm here with my brother Dylan, and today we just wanted to talk a little bit about excuses, victim mentality, blaming others, taking responsibility, and just kind of gonna dive in a bit deeper with that. So let's see here. What's a good question to start off with, D? Let me think.
I think the question that I was thinking of is like, why do we do it in the first place? Why do we make excuses? Why do we always tend to blame others? Why it's easy. Why, but it's not beneficial. Why do we do that?
Like, why does society do that?
Why does society do
For
that?
the most part, yeah. I think that's a great question. You got any thoughts right off? Why does society tend to blame other people versus accepting responsibility? I feel like this is so common, man.
I feel like the first obvious answer to that is because it's just easy. Whenever someone makes a mistake, it's so easy to push that onto someone else because we're all kind of living our own lives that we are the main actor in this movie that we play out.
Yep.
And whenever we can shift the blame or put the excuse on someone else, it makes us, in our mind, still look like the hero, still look like the perfectly good person. And that's what we want to portray to everyone else. So
that's a great response. Would you get that out of a book or something? That sounded like you heard it from some type of movie or something. For all the
no.
Oh my goodness.
Off the top of my head. What are your thoughts? What do you think?
Why does everyone do it? And so let me be clear. Not too many of my friends or people that I know of, I guess, blame others, but I do know some individuals that do, and it's super, super frustrating. Wouldn't you agree?
I think me and you more than anybody, and not to say that we don't or I don't make excuses, but I think me and you more than anybody that I know get frustrated the most with people blaming stuff on other people or making excuses. Like, I know that gets under my skin, and I know that gets under your skin.
Oh my goodness, it makes me so frustrated. But
it
like
does.
Coworkers at other jobs or just whatever. Man, it's just super tough. So it does get under my skin. But like, I think a lot of the reason why people do that is, one, I totally agree with what you said because it's easy. But also, I think some people, they don't live in reality. They lack the ability to look within themselves and be like, I have a problem, instead of, oh, this is your fault, And I can't remember who
That's
told
so
me
true.
this. Someone said something. Okay. It was about assigning or taking as much responsibility as you can. I can't remember. Maybe Grant Cardone. I think Grant Cardone honestly says something about this.
Just a quick 2-sentencer for anyone listening that doesn't know who Grant Cardone is. You want to explain who he is?
Oh, he's just like a real estate mogul. He's got a healthy lifestyle. I don't agree with everything that the guy says, but there are definitely some good points there as well. And he was talking about blaming others. So you're late to work. Oh, well, I blame the traffic. You're late to a meeting because it snowed over and you had to sit in the airport hangar for a day or so. It's this, it's that, it's the other. And in all reality, what he was basically saying is, when you blame somebody else, you give them control of your life, And I think that's monumental. So get this, like, if you're at the grocery store and you know how we've all been in the grocery store and the bagger forgets to give us our bag, they might leave it in a little carousel.
Right.
And when you get home, you're like, oh, that teenager, they don't know what they're doing. They're lazy, yada, yada, yada. You give them control of your life. Instead, if you take responsibility, when you get home, oh, it was my fault. I didn't make sure to check on my bags.
Mm.
Then when you go back to the grocery store, if you take responsibility, you can also take back control. And that is big. So people who are
That's so
out here
true.
blaming others, they see life as, chance. Like, this happens to me. They play the victim. Like, this person didn't give me, my bag in the carousel, the grocery store. This person forgot my fast food. This person did this. This person cut in front of me when you were probably following too close in the first place. This person, the weather did this to me. And so you live your life giving everything else control. But once you rein it back in, you get control. Well, I didn't prepare for the weather. I didn't prepare 2 days before. I didn't book the plane flight in the right way. I didn't leave early enough. I didn't check the bags. I didn't check the fast food. You just gain control back over your life. And that's just insane to me. It was
Yeah.
so cool. So I purposely, even when things aren't your fault, like, deep down when things are and aren't your fault, I try to make it my fault, because then, like, I can have some type of control and absolutely change that circumstance next time it happens.
Exactly. It's a great growing opportunity. It's a great opportunity for you to look within yourself and say, what could I have done better in that situation?
For sure.
And that's another thing is people will say like, oh, well, you're lucky, or, you're in the right spot at the right time, or you got this victim mentality that you're unlucky, or that you're at the wrong spot at the wrong time. And there's a quote by Thomas Jefferson that I love. And he says, I'm a great believer in luck. And I find that the harder I work, the more I have of it, which is
right.
the exact mentality of someone that looks within themselves. And I would venture to say off of that quote alone that he's not someone that would make excuses or blame others, but that he would look within himself, because he sees that, it's a great opportunity for him to change, for him to actually do something in his life to change the outcomes in the future for, just something that might have been unlucky at one moment, or something that just went wrong for him.
Yeah. We have one thing and I don't mean to cut you off, but we have one thing in trading. It's basically the same thing, only a condensed version. The harder you work, the luckier you get. And It's so true. Like, if there's an intraday offering, which for those that don't know what that is, it's like, if you're a short seller and you're betting on a stock to go down, they can put out something called an offering, and literally a stock could go from $5 to $2 in like the blink of a second. And if you're a short seller, that's amazing, because you just made like 60%. And a lot of people get frustrated and everything, but you were there the whole day in order to get that. I don't know, but it's just
exactly. You wouldn't have seen it if you weren't
get.
there all day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're putting in the work, so it happens. Time of chance happened to all things. It says in Ecclesiastes as well, but you got to be there for them to happen.
It does. When, if anyone follows soccer, they realize that if they know who Cristiano Ronaldo is, he gets a ton of headers, and I've heard a lot of people say, well, he's lucky that he's in the right place at the right time, but he's there time and time and time and time again, putting in the work, missing a few, but he does have an extreme amount of headers in the box. But it's because, I would venture to say, not because he's lucky, but because he does it time and time again. And he just, the byproduct of all of his work and effort is that he gets a lot of goals. It's not that he was just at the right place at the right time, so many different times. Definitely. So, yeah, I think excuses and blaming others, and I would also venture to say complaining as well, can be categorized into this whole topic that we're talking about, because
that's a good point.
It's just another area that, when you're complaining about something, it's typically not about your shortcomings. It's about someone else's shortcomings, or some company's shortcomings, or where you work, whatever the place is. But it never gets you anywhere by doing that. It only makes you more confident that it's not your fault. And then,
or it can be self-defeating.
The outcome will never change.
Or it can be self-defeating. Like, you're just defeating yourself by saying that, And I probably do too much complaining, honestly.
I think we all do. I'd say I'm a poor complainer as well.
Just defeat ourselves to the point where you can't get back up. You don't want to. You don't believe you can, or just whatever. Yeah, complaining definitely ties in.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I do want to ask you this question,
Yeah.
because we're also talking about having the victor mentality. Do you think that some people can be victims? And if so, or if, well, actually, I'll let you answer that question first.
Yeah. Like, okay. I was at this one job, and I guess I won't mention it, but let me tell you what, so many of the people there had a victim mentality. This is happening to me. Look at this person, look at this job, this place, this scenario. And they had
Mm-hmm.
such a victim mentality that they lived in defeat 24/7. And whatever anyone did to them, they just kept going on and complaining about it and complaining. Yeah, so there are like I think there are real situations in life where someone can be a victim,
Yep,
like
I
let's
agree.
just like there absolutely are. And then there are ones where you make yourself the victim, and that's kind of what we're talking about. Like, you know, is when people kind of assume the right to be the victim because they are something. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's just my first thought. What about you?
No, I agree. And, you know, I think that it's almost one of these tough love scenarios because even some people that can play the victim card because they are the victims
Yeah.
very easily, like, don't downplay that at all.
Right.
There's some people that, can be completely innocent and have, something horrible happen to them, and they're the victim of this situation. But I think that having kind of like this tough love mentality on yourself, I don't think it's to the benefit of that person to stay the victim of the situation.
Agreed.
I think it's almost like, an analogy I'm thinking of is, like forgiving others. Like when someone does a wrong to you, it can last with you for your lifetime until you're willing to forgive them. And then that's when you kind of get released of that situation. And I think it's the
Yeah.
same case with being a victim, is that there are some people that can very easily play the victim card for the right reasons, but being tough on themselves and trying to look within them and say, what could I have changed? Yes, I could play this victim card. And yes, it's not my fault. But trying to dig deep and say, what could I have changed? What could I have done better? Helps that person to grow in any situation.
Right. It can make you better as well.
It can make you better. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and I think if we stay the victim too long, it can be very detrimental.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
even though it can be justified, I don't know if it can be, um, a good thing if you
Beneficial.
stay in that victim mentality, because then you can get to the point where people walk all over you, where you're down and depressed in life in general. You can't get out of this thought that keeps running through your head or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
But the quicker we can get out of it, the quicker we can bounce back, I think the better shot we have of, like, you know, quickly getting out of that victim mentality. And I think the way to do that is to try to look within yourself and see what you could have changed with the situation, see what you could have done better, see what you could have improved on, and then take the steps moving forward to act on those improvements that you were able to find.
Yeah.
Would you
Totally.
agree with that? What would you say?
Oh no, 100% agree. But one thing that I'm starting to figure out is that some people have played the victim so long that, and like I keep bringing it up, what we learned about in Atomic Habits about, habits and your identity. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I know a handful of individuals who make themselves the victim because that's truly who they believe that they are.
Yep.
And they lack the perception or depth to be able to look within themselves and say, hey, this is a problem that I've got. It's actually not this other person. And so they start playing the blame game to
Mm-hmm.
everyone. Oh, is this person's fault? Oh, is this person's fault? This person's fault? This person's fault? And everybody else is sitting there looking at them like, you got a problem. But these people just don't even realize it because they played the victim for so long, you know?
Yeah. And I
And
think
that's
sometimes it could stem from a very justifiable reason for being the victim.
Yeah.
But then going back to that, sometimes, like we were saying earlier, it's not a great thing to stay the victim of the situation, because then it trickles into your lifestyle, and then you start playing the victim card on things that, you know, aren't really true and aren't beneficial, and then it just, like you said, is a downward spiral that you can't get out of.
Yeah. 100%. Let's see here. I'm trying to think of a really, really good scenario from someone that I've worked with or something. Use a random name. Let me see here.
But while you are thinking about that, I do want to clarify that there's definitely groups of people that just always use the victim card when it's not justifiable. And I think that's what really gets under our skin.
That's what we're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And when it could very easily be something that you could have fixed, that people decide to blame other people for, or say they're the victim of the situation. That's really what irks me. And, I just want to, look the person right in the face and be like, you can improve, you can get better.
Yeah.
Like, you can do so much with this opportunity,
For sure. You know what? In general, okay, this is on subject, off subject, but doesn't it just make you frustrated when somebody doesn't want to get better?
Yeah, it does.
Like, doesn't it just get under your skin? It's like,
I know for you that really gets under your skin, because one of the things you're really good at is when you find someone that needs help, you're really good at investing everything you got into them. And I see you, the only times you really, really get upset with those people are when you invest so much into them and they do nothing to get better. Not even that they show appreciation or not. I think you couldn't care less about that.
Yeah.
But if they, even if they didn't show appreciation, but they got better, I think you would love that. But the fact that they don't try, even after someone spends so much time helping them, I know that gets under your skin. I think it's under my skin too. But I know that's one of your pet peeves.
Yeah, and just previous jobs or past experiences or stuff. That is just a hard one for me to deal with. I guess maybe because of my personality or just whatever. But
yeah, well, you invest time, you invest money, you're betting on these people,
Exactly.
And you're not even betting that they'll do good. You're betting that they'll, I guess, take what you've offered and try to apply it, try to show initiative, try to do something with it. But
yeah, pretty much
when they just, when no one shows any effort, it's hard to keep putting in that much help and time with them.
Absolutely. That brings me to another thing, like today's society. Man, I look around at just everyone, and not everyone, but the majority of the people that I know, nobody wants to get better. What
do you mean?
Nobody wants to get better. Nobody thinks they have a problem. Nobody puts any effort forth in being a better them. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying you got this crazy problem, but just nobody really puts any effort forth in getting better or learning. Do you feel the same way? It's kind of like I see the same people doing the same things at the same places, hating life just like they did 5 years ago. So for instance, I was at a previous job, and I've been through multiple different jobs in the past, 5 years and stuff. Just trying to find the right one. I think I found it. But anyways, me saying all that, I went and visited one of my first jobs, actually my first job, and the same people were still there doing the same thing, complaining about life, never doing anything to change,
Yeah.
And it just got to me. I was like, people talk about change, but nobody out there really wants it.
Yeah. And I'm sure everyone's heard this before, and I'm just beating a dead horse by saying it, but I mean, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
Yes.
So it's just, I agree with you. When people are unhappy with where they're at, but you never see them making any steps forward to change it. And then I think me and you both would look at situations where we've messed up or where things mess up in life. I think we both look at those as opportunities for us to get better.
Yep.
So when we see, or I know when I see other people go through those same situations, whether it's their fault or not, and they choose not to improve on those situations or choose not to internally reflect, just like I want to look at them and be like, what are you doing? That was an awesome opportunity
Yeah.
that just popped right up in front of you that, you could look within yourself, see what you could do better, and, hopefully stop that from happening again. But
Absolutely. Yeah. It
it
just
seems like they
does.
just stay in the spiral of
Yeah.
continue to make those excuses, and they're staying at rock bottom, trying to figure out what the answer is when it's right in front of them.
Or you know what? Honestly, what gets to me is the people, or like a lot of society, they stay at rock bottom and they couldn't care less. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Like everyone cares to a degree, but some people, like today's society, they just don't care. They're like, the government will pay for it. I'm good. I got my stimmy check coming in, or just, you know what I'm saying? Or
Yeah,
just like, I don't know.
that's
I don't know.
yeah,
Whatever it is, that's just frustrating to me. People just don't even care. I wish they
yeah,
did for themselves, not for me at all, not for my benefit whatsoever, just for themselves. You know, I don't know. It just kind of seems, it just frustrates me so much. But
yeah.
anyways,
Show
let's
some
went on a little
initiatives.
side tangent there. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you think of I cut you off earlier about the example that you were going to use with a fake friend's name?
Man, I thought of a really good example, but probably expose somebody.
Yeah, that's fine.
Man, I don't know. I was gonna put out a really good example though. I'll keep
Hey,
thinking on that while we're talking. But
yeah,
anyways,
better to preserve their dignity. So,
yeah.
um, the other thing that I was going to say is, and I think we had talked about this earlier. We answered initially, why do we make excuses? But now, I guess to answer it in one question, how can we change from a lifestyle of making excuses, from a lifestyle of having the victim mentality, blaming others, complaining? How, in just a few sentences, what do you think? How can we change that?
Oh, that's good. Change starts, one chance or one rep at a time, right? Just take
Mm,
responsibility in something. Just
yep.
even, it doesn't matter. There are obviously like levels of, how hard it is to take responsibility for something that you actually may not have even done, you know, but take responsibility for one thing that you wouldn't have. I think that's great. So
Yeah.
like, for instance, um, let's just start out with fast food. You order something in a fast food restaurant and you're sitting in the drive-through. You get your bag, you go on a couple miles down the road, you open up the bag and figure out, oh my goodness, this person they messed up the order. Take responsibility. Say,
Mm.
hey, I could have checked before I even left, and just leave it at that.
Yep.
You know,
That's it almost gets under my skin
just
because
leave it
that's
at
what our
that.
dad does every single time we go to the
Yeah.
drive-through. Is if we go through the drive-through to pick food up for him or to pick food up for the family and it's
Yeah.
wrong, the blame does not go on those workers. It goes straight
No,
on us.
that's
The
right.
first question, son, did you check the bag? No, sir, I didn't. That's the first thing you do. You don't pull out of the driveway until you check the bag. But
Yep.
he's right. He's right. And that's a great
To be
example.
honest, our dad is the master of preventative maintenance and taking
Oh my goodness.
responsibility. Like, I
Oh my
mean, dude,
goodness.
have you ever thought? I was just with my dad today. I went down there to see him, and
Yeah.
and I saw you as well. Went down there today. The dude is under his truck every single week. It's something. He's fixing something. He's under the truck, and I kneel down and I'm like, "What's up, Dad?" He said, "Hey, son," and he just goes off on this rant. I'm fixing the rear differential fluid because I just hit 100,000 miles on my truck and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And he's always into like these projects. But I mean, if you really think about it, he takes so much responsibility in those areas. Can you ever think of a time where any car is broken down on us where we haven't like been able to get somewhere?
No,
I can't.
that's
I've
very
never.
true.
He's always taking preventative maintenance and taking responsibility on the cars, and that's just one aspect. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, it's the house. It
And
is every single thing.
you
I'm
know,
telling you what.
when I left the house to come over here to record this podcast,
Yeah.
he was still under the truck.
See,
And I
what in
asked
the
him, I was like, Dad,
world?
what are you doing? And he had his phone out and he was under the truck. And I said, Dad, what are you doing? And he said, preventative maintenance. And I said, what?
No
And he
joke.
said, I'm taking pictures of my undercarriage
Oh
and then I'm
my
going to compare them to other pictures and make sure that it's not rusting or anything and see if I need to order new parts. Like, who does that?
Oh,
Right.
like literally, I came to the house today, okay? And I was, I said the whole story about what's up, Dad. I was like, hey, is there anything I can help you out with so you can just have a relaxful, peaceful day off? Because the guy works like an animal,
Mm-hmm.
he always has. And so I
50,
ended up
60 hours a week, 30
Yeah.
years.
And so I ended up mowing the lawn for him and kind of, blowing the, I don't know, the leaves and stuff back on the lawn or just
He was
whatever
so thankful
afterwards.
for that, I'm sure.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what, Dad, now you can relax, and come to figure out the dude's still under the truck doing more preventive maintenance. That's just who he is. It's awesome.
Yeah. He
But
just
yeah.
got the car fixed with some air conditioning. And then
Yep.
we all three went on a quick little test drive with it. I mean, I'd say less than 20 minutes. While we were in there, he's like, this gear shift is, picking a little bit. It's going to cut someone's hand. I got to order a new one. And then the visor's dropping. I got to fix this.
And which he did on spot.
Yep. He got out of the car and went to do it. But yeah, he's, when it comes to cars, he is preventative maintenance and he's fixing everything before there's a chance for it to mess up.
Even in the house, I mean, everything. You remember that one time, and this is off subject, but it's absolutely hilarious. So our vent wasn't working for like the washer dryer. You know how like you have the dryer and all the lint and the fumes go outside or something?
Yeah.
Man, I remember Dad going down there and he just thought something was off. He didn't check the vents or something for a while. So he's like, I'm gonna go check vents. Like, who goes around and checks their vents?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm gonna go check my vents. I think something's up. Sure enough, a bird had gotten in one of the vents, built a nest, and clogged it all the way up to where
I remember that.
our whole like system was building up lint or something, and it could have started a fire.
Yeah.
Like, who goes around and checks their vents?
Yep.
But of course our dad did, and it prevented like a really big issue.
I've got
So
I've got one
funny.
more example, and then we'll jump back on subject. But we had a water leak in one of our bathrooms. I would say like 7 years ago, 5 or 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was covered with insurance, and it turns out we had to completely remodel the whole bathroom, or redo the whole bathroom. So we decided to remodel it because it would be cheaper that way than to buy like normal stuff and then replace that down the road. So anyways, that was 5-7 years ago. It was from a bathroom leak and got the situation fixed. The bathroom's updated now. So fast forward, 5 to 7 years later, we were planning a vacation this summer, and it just so happened that I had to work the first day of the vacation. So I was going to be at home by myself for one day, and then I was going to drive up the next day and go on vacation with the rest of them. But the one day that I was off, he tells me, son, make sure that you check the refrigerator and turn the ice off before you go to bed that night, and stop and listen for any water leaking throughout the house before you leave and before you go to bed that night, and then when you wake up in the morning. I was like, Dad, why do you want me to do that? And he said every single night before he goes to bed, ever since he's had that bathroom leak, he has turned the ice maker off, stopped for like 15 seconds, and listened to the pipes in the walls to see if he can hear water draining.
No way. I didn't know this.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Preventive maintenance, man. All from, one pretty severe like bathroom leak. But, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you.
Fool me twice, never going to happen with our dad.
Exactly. So,
oh my gosh.
When it comes to that stuff, he's the king of, I might not have been able to fix it the first time it's happened, and I could have definitely played the victim card the second time it's happened, but I'm going to make sure that it doesn't happen the second time.
It's never gonna happen
So
again.
yeah, learning from your mistakes. Um, and that's just like for any of those situations we could have given, he could have done nothing to change the situation. And there probably would have been a few other mishaps from that he could have justifiably played the victim card for.
Absolutely.
But because he was proactive and because he decided to do something about it, while he couldn't have changed that first incident that he could have justifiably played the victim card for, he decided to put the work forth and change it. So now those situations don't come back up again.
Yeah.
So I think it does fit into what we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. But, I mean, you remember when our chimney caught on fire because our chimney caught on fire, I think twice, and that was a rarity.
Things family friend had to bust through the glass doors.
Yeah. So our chimney caught on fire when we were kids because we would take, we would use magazine paper instead of newspaper, and what would end up happening.
So for people listening, it's the laminated paper. Yeah. You have like advertisements for magazines and stuff on that will sometimes come in the newspaper, opposed to just the regular textured newspaper.
Yeah.
So sorry, continue your story.
We have a wood burning fireplace, and so we would have to start fires as children to kind of heat the house or to help heat the house. We had heating as well. But those magazine papers would get stuck in the flue, and then eventually all it took was like one spark or one really big ember, and it would catch on fire. And so I think honestly, Dad learned so much from that, or even the second time that it happened, he's like, all right, I'm going to check out all the vents. I'm doing all this stuff. So I wonder if that one bird scenario, like clogging the vent, was because of the chimney and him learning from that, whether he realizes it or not, he probably put two and two together. I don't know, just me talking out loud. But
and just for the listeners to know, we don't use magazine paper anymore either.
No, we're not allowed to. No, we're not allowed to.
No, we've definitely gotten in trouble when we ran out of newspaper. We would use like one piece of magazine newspaper and be like, oh, he's not going to see. Like, we just got to get this fire started. We've been sitting here for 30 minutes. And then he might not even have been there, but he can look in the fireplace and say, that's not normal newspaper. Did someone use magazine paper?
Exactly.
Yeah, we used it,
dude,
one piece just to keep this fire going so we could actually, finish making the fire. But
that, Dad's got this sixth sense about him for things like that. When it comes to preventive maintenance and things he tries, I kid you not. This is again off subject, but it's absolutely hilarious. So one day, he has always taught us to clean off our cars when the first snow comes. You gotta, wipe down the windshield, wipe down this, all this
the windshield
stuff.
Wipers up.
Yeah.
So the snow can fall down right. You can scrape it off easy.
Right. And you want to do it the first night so it doesn't freeze. And so it doesn't get like a rock on your car, basically. So hard to get off. I kid you not, man. This guy is on his route. He's a UPS driver. He is on his route. And in the back of my brain, he's cleaned off all his cars the day before. I'm like, man, I don't need to clean off my car. So, it ended up freezing on me. And I was kind of frustrated because I tried to get it off and I couldn't.
Yeah, that night?
It snows and it froze on me, okay? Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting there, and he already got on me once, and he's on the route. I'm sitting there. I'm like, you know what? This stuff is frozen to the top of my car. You know what? I got to be somewhere now. I got to be somewhere like 10 minutes ago. So I just cleaned off the windshield and the back windshield, and that was it. The rest of my car had snow piled on it. And I'm sitting there starting my car, and I'm like, you know what? My dad is a driver in our neighborhood, in our like kind of city. And I know how bad he's going to get on me if he sees this. So I'm driving around. I'm taking the back roads just to make sure he doesn't see me. Sure enough, I get a phone call. I kid you not. I get a phone call, and Dad was like, son, was that you with your 350Z? with the snow on top. And I was like, yes. He's like, son, and he gives me the whole spiel about the preventative maintenance.
The perfect "I told you so"
Yeah, the
situation.
perfect "I told you so," and I'm like, I know, I'm sorry, but he just has a sixth sense about those things. It's absolutely
just
hilarious.
happens. I've had times where like
you can't get one past him,
No, there's been times when it's so hot in the house and he's off working or on the route or something, and we're using the air conditioner to cool it down, but I've been in my room for a couple hours doing some work or reading or something, and so it's hot, and so I've opened my windows for like less than 5 minutes, and here he comes driving around. I get a phone call. Son, what are the windows doing open?
Yeah, or beeping the horn.
Dad, I promise it's been like less than 5 minutes. I'm paying good money for that air conditioning. Keep those windows closed. Oh man, he's got a sixth sense for those things.
It does, man. Or it's like another scenario is we don't have a food processor or grinder for our kitchen, and the first time you stick one thing down the sink, just a tiny little bean. I kid you not, the next day he will pick that bean up out of the system somewhere and be like, did you put this bean in my sink?
Yeah.
It's just hilarious, man.
What happened? You think that's a dad thing, or you think that's our dad?
No, I don't. That's probably our dad thing. I don't know.
I think it might be a dad thing to a degree.
Yeah.
Just like, the whole house thing, listening and looking around. But I think our dad's ramped up on steroids when it comes to that.
For sure.
Example of being proactive in that way.
Yeah.
But
Goodness.
no.
But
going back to
overall, he just takes responsibility, and that's what it's all about. He does not play the victim card. So yeah.
Yeah. And that is, that answers my question of how we can change is from all those examples that we just gave about, you might not be able to change the past. You might not be able to change that one situation, whether it was your fault or not. But you can change the outcome of the future, and you can be proactive about it. Look within yourself and see what you can change, even if the situation is not your fault, to prevent something like that from happening again, and to grow as a person. That's the other factor, is that you're not only preventing something from happening, you're also growing yourself and changing.
Yeah. You're learning from your mistakes and adapting.
Yeah.
Adapt or die, right?
Adapt or die.
Yeah. That's what we say in the markets.
I was about to say,
adapt or die,
yeah. I can apply to a lot of things, honestly.
Sure.
Being malleable, being able to change with the situations that come your way, and just kind of roll with the punches. But yeah. Well, guys, we're running out of time today. We went on a few different tangents there, but I honestly do think it was applicable to just making excuses and having that victim mentality and blaming others, complaining and all that combined into this episode. But Clay, do you have any closing remarks before we head out?
Yeah. One thing that I will say is just speaking to the first part of the podcast. I would say if you're a person that does play the victim mentality or the victim card, and is just starting to realize that, like, just start taking responsibility. Or even if you're not, just in every situation you can, just start bringing that control back to you.
Bring the control back to you. Give it some time and see if the situations improve.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
so that's all I got.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for joining us for another podcast, and we will be back for another one soon.